Cash is king. We've heard that our whole lives. Cash is king. We've grown up from our little babies entering into the workforce for the first time, and some of the first words we heard is, cash is king. We hope that the royal King Cash has entered into our workplace, and for some of us, King Cash resides with us, has a space in the back room, is with us on a regular basis. And some of us, we're waiting for King Cash to finally meet our acquaintance, to knock on the door, and to help us to understand why cash is in fact king. But if this is the only financial metric that you've come to understand, if you haven't met the rest of the royal family, you only got about 1/3 of the knowledge you need to run a successful business. So today let's Biznify not only cash, but cash flow and profit, and see how cash flow, and profit all intertwine to make this royal family known as the financial metrics. Before we get into that, how about an analogy that maybe we can all get through our head? Because some of us understand this very well. Certainly the financiers and the accountants and the financial planners, they went to school for this, they really understand it, they really get it. But the rest of us, we might think that that's that guy's job. Or, well, she does the cash stuff in our business. I just work here. And if you think that, when the moment comes that the belt needs to tighten, and every business has that moment, unfortunately, you may be the tightening of the belt that has to step away because you haven't been focused on cash and cash flow and profit. So how about an analogy that hopefully will work for you? Many of us were in front of the mirror today as we washed our face in the sink. And here's a very good analogy to help you understand how these three intertwine. So the water that is pouring out of the spigot, the inflow into the sink, is our revenue. The water that is exiting the sink into the drain, our outflow, those are expenses. And the water that is accumulating, that's gathering in the sink, that's our cash on hand. The whole process is cash flow. We need the money to flow in through the spigot. We'd rather it not flow out through the drain, but that's just part of the game, right? You want to be paid. Your vendors want to be paid. The folks that bring us the electric and the internet and our IT services and our parts and our pieces and our services, they want to be paid. And we want money coming in the door, or in this case, in the spigot. So we've been taught our whole lives that cash is king. That's the amount of water in the bowl at any one time. Cash is important. You can't grow without cash. You can't buy a new building. You can't add new equipment. Well, we can certainly borrow the money, but it's a lot better to do it with cash. But no matter how big that bowl is, and most of us, our bowl is only so big, but no matter how big you can imagine that sink bowl being, that pile of cash, that gold in the gold room over in the back corner of the office, no matter how big it is, there's a limit to it. So let's say it's $100. And somebody turns off the spigot. There's no inflow, there's no revenue, no money's coming in the door, just going out the drain. The cash flow. If you have $100 worth of water, $100 worth of cash, but your expenses are $40 a week, how many weeks do we last? 2.5. Okay, so let's say, well, we got more than $100. Have $1,000. We add a zero, and our expenses are $400. 2.5 weeks. 10,000. Add another zero. 2.5 weeks. It doesn't matter how many zeros are on the end of your business or how much you've achieved, how much you've succeeded. It's still the same. All cash does is buy us something that is otherwise impossible to attain. Maybe one of the most valuable resources in the world to us known as human beings. That's time. What cash does is it gives us the time to correct it. If there's no water in the bowl, no pile of money in the backyard or in the back room or in the bank where we normally keep it, in the credit union, then we don't have time. If we don't have time, the question is, let's say that the spigot shuts off or slows down or is delayed. How much time do we stay in business? 6 months? 3 months? Let me make it a little easier. Let me ask the question differently. If you don't receive a paycheck next time payday runs around, how many more days will you continue working? How many more paydays will you continue working? You see, it becomes a lot easier when we think about it that way. Now we stop measuring in terms of years or months or quarters, and we start measuring in terms of maybe weeks, probably days. So cash is king. But cash flow, that money coming in the spigot, queen cash flow. You know, my mother always told me, my dad would, big tall guy like me, had been a Golden Gloves boxer, a man's man, a tough guy, as humble as can be, the kind that'll give you a shirt off your back. Just everybody always enjoyed talking to him, could talk about any subject. A skilled worker, not educated. I'm the first one ever to go to college in my lineage. But he would be very proud of saying, I'm the head of our house. I'm the head of the Malesic household. And my wife, my mother, my wife too now, my mother would stand beside him. He's 6'6" like I am and was a big fella back in the day, little 5'1", dainty Polish woman. And she would say, oh no, it's true, very soft-spoken. He's the head of the house, but I'm the neck. And everybody knows that the neck turns the head. And that's true when we think about cash flow. So when the money's not coming in the spigot and it's not flowing out, our business isn't doing anything, we're stagnant. So in this case, the cash flow, queen cash flow, more powerful than the king? Well, what about the crowned prince? So we hear about it more on Wall Street, more from our owners than maybe we think about it every day. Prince Prophet. The prophet can be finicky. He can be stubborn. He doesn't want to always do things the way the rest of us want things done. What's unique about Prince Prophet is he seems to keep coming around and wanting it again. In some of our business, it's annually, but in most of our business, it's quarterly. Every quarter, here I am, feed me. I'm Prince Prophet. Someday may be the leader, but right now, the crowned prince. So we have our owners, to keep the analogy, our citizens. We don't want them coming with pitchforks and torches and telling us that we as managers are not running our business right. So we have to serve Prince Prophet. You see how these three are intertwined. So profit, interestingly enough, profit is really the retained earnings. It becomes the retained earnings on our balance sheet, and we gather that together nicely and we store it in that room in the back office, our bank account, our credit, and we call it cash. This is how they're intertwined. So when you're businifying the concept in your business of your financial metrics and you're thinking about king cash and queen cash flow and prince profit, which of the royal family do you hold higher than the others? Well, they're all important. If you don't appease the royal families, the royals can get nasty. It's just the way it is. But I'll leave you with one thought as we businify financial metrics. Another thing I learned a long time ago, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.